Now I have the privilege of introducing somebody once again that I've never gotten to tell her what to do either, but ladies and gentlemen, Miss Pam Moore.
Well, I'm not very good at this, but ladies and gentlemen, maybe I'm taking too many liberties with that. I'd like to introduce someone that without him, all of us would not be here. And so, here is Barry fucking Fey.
Step there, man. Fuck you. Just some tension.
Come on up here, please, people. First, I'd like to thank Tommy Cooper and Rob Buswell for putting this together. I had nothing to do with it, and it's just wonderful. And Jesse and his chef, Sean, who I guess would be getting a tattoo if he wasn't here. But first, I want to say something about 4 people who can't be here. Unfortunately, David Denny, who died while being our production manager in a tragic accident, and Nate Fell, who passed away, and my old assistant, Ginny Ganal, passed away, and a few years ago, Nick Williams.
No!
Yeah, honey. And I got to tell you, I know they would have been here. In fact, Nick would have been in 2 fights already, there's no question. I'd like to call up here beside me the people who worked over 20 years for me. First, Chuck Morris, please. Pam Moore. Lee Hogan. Dan Garcia. No, I thought Boog would work too, but he only worked 11. It seemed like fucking 20, yeah. And Brandy Maitland. Where's Dan?
Come on, Banana, get up there.
It took him a little longer, he had to swim.
Oh, boo.
Smile.
This guy here, Chuck Morris, he started with me in late 72, early 73, and him and my first wife, Cindy, opened Evansfield. He came on full-time with Fey Line in 75. We traveled the earth together from New York to London to Sydney, Australia, and we had great times and great stories, but he told me I can't tell you the stories. The ones I was going to say. Oh, the hooker stories, I'm sorry.
I got 5 kids in the barrel.
Well, hey, Kathy! Like the Broyles! She was the best receptionist we ever had.
Deaf.
Yeah, she was deaf and couldn't talk, but that was great. But first, I got to tell you about my buddy Chuck, and he wants to say a couple things.
This is really great to see everybody, especially celebrate everybody who did so much. Because this is not about Barry or me or anybody here up here, Pam. This is about all of you guys. All of you that took all of Barry's abuse for all these years. I've been around Barry, working with him, God, till part-time, till 90, till he retired, 98, first time. And then we fought for about 5 years. But, you know, I'm going to tell one quick story. And I'll probably get it wrong, and Fey will say, you don't have any memory because you did too many drugs, which is true. I'm going to tell about Dan Garcia. Dan Garcia worked in our accounting office. And at that point, we had a lot of people. John Ruby, who just left, was the head of our accounting division. And we had a ton of people working at Feyline. And we had a whole closet full of phones. Because when Barry got mad, especially at me, he would take his phone and throw it at me, and it would get into 43 pieces. So he would always scream for a new phone. Dan had started for a while as in the accounting department as an accountant under everybody else, and his office was right next to the closet that had all the phones. So when Barry would scream, I would say, "Get a new phone," and Garcia would go get the phone and plug it in. Well, about a year later, after Garcia was doing that 30 times, Barry said, "Come on, we'll go in the kitchen, let's eat something," which Barry was very good at. Actually, I was very good at that as well in those days. So we went into the kitchen to get some food, and Garcia's there, and I swear on my life, Barry turned around to me and said, "What the fuck is the phone man doing here?" That is a true story, but I'll tell one more. Can I tell one more?
Yes.
Barry fired. A quarter of my job was to convince people not to quit, by the way. That's literally what I did. The great people that you all love. But that is true, Phil, isn't it?
How many times did he fire everybody?
But I think there's so many great stories, but the other great story was, every year they did stories about our summer stars, and the Post would come up and do an interview with Barry and I at one point. So this rather older, I got to be politically correct, especially at my age, a rather older photographer who was probably 3 weeks away from retiring came up first and sat in my office while we were waiting for, I think it was Jackie, what was her last name who was doing stories then, Barry? Jackie Campbell. Oh God, I remember that. Jackie Campbell was coming up and she was late to do an interview with us about the summer coming up. And this older gentleman from the Post, who was close to 70, was sitting next to me in my office while we were waiting for Jackie to come up. And Barry, if you remember in those days, we had an office, we had a glass door between Barry's office and my office. This is the old place off Evans on Cherry Street. And we were sitting there, and Barry all of a sudden was talking to an agent and got very, very pissed off about something I did, which I have no idea. He thought I paid too much money for something or something like that. And he hung up on the agent and started screaming out, "You motherfucker," and smashed the doors open, came into my office, and I had a big desk then, a really giant flat desk that was probably 6 feet long by 4 feet wide, and he grabbed the desk and threw it over my head. Well, this older guy, turned white, went right on. I thought he was going to die of a heart attack, and went running out the door. And if you remember our old office, you could see the parking lot from Barry's window. Went running out the door, ran into his car, and ran away. And of course, when that happened, we looked outside, and then we both started laughing, because that was not that uncommon in those days for Barry to throw my table over my head. But anyway, those are some of the great stories. But there's about 3,000 more.